Hello and welcome back to High School Study Guide Biology. My name is Jason Jewick and today we'll be going over the genetic portion of evolution. Last time we covered the development of evolution a lot and the case for evolution. Though I have to give you a fair warning. Please use your own study materials and not just these videos because I can only give you a general view of things. So today we'll be looking at the genetics of a population. And first we'll be starting with a gene pool. So a gene pool is the total collection of genes in a population at any given time. Typically, larger populations have larger gene pools like the one here. Meanwhile, smaller populations have smaller gene pools like the one here. Alright, let's head back inside. These gene pools can be altered by gene flow. Gene flow includes things like births and emigrations, deaths and emigrations, etc., etc. Now, high gene flow between two populations keeps them genetically similar, whereas low gene flow will keep them genetically different. The longer and longer I go on, the more I feel like Robert Malthus advertising eugenics or something. Horrible guy, you should look into it, it's actually kind of interesting. So the last thing we'll be looking at is genetic drift. Genetic drift can occur in one of two ways, the founder effect or the bottleneck effect. So the founder effect would be like the Galapagos tortoises we examined in the previous episode and the first episode. The Galapagos tortoises were separated geographically among the different islands on the Galapagos, and because of that they evolved differently to better suit their environments. The bottleneck effect is when you have a large population and because of a drastic change, they have to be whittled down to a small population in a rather short period of time. So that'd be like saying if all the Pikachus in Viridian Forest were shinies and they all got caught, then you'd just be left with the non-shiny Pikachus and they would be the small subset of the larger population. Besides sexual selection, evolution can also occur via reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation is based off the biological species concept, or that a species is defined as a group of individuals who can mate and produce fertile offspring. Now, reproductive isolation can occur in one of two ways, prezygotically or postzygotically. Prezygotic barriers include temporal isolation or non-matching mating seasons, behavioral isolation or non-matching mating behaviors, mechanical isolation or non-matching genitalia, or gametic isolation, the inability of the sperm to fertilize the egg. On the other hand, there are only two types of postzygotic barriers. The two postzygotic barriers are that most hybrid zygotes either do not survive long enough to produce offspring or they just don't live, actually. So far, we've covered evolution within a population, but evolution can also occur by two populations affecting each other simultaneously through symbiotic relationships. Symbiotic relationships include mutualism, in which both organisms benefit, commensalism, in which one organism benefits and the other one is not affected at all. Parasitism and predation are two separate things, though they're quite similar actually. Both involve one organism benefiting and the other one being harmed, with the exception that in predation, the harmed organism is killed, whereas in parasitism, you want the host organism to stay alive to provide nutrients. And now that we've finished examining all the things that can cause evolution, how can we represent that mathematically? Well, this can be done using the Hardy-Weinberg equations, which will be on the screen right now.
Please don't do that.
No, that was it. That's fine.
Right now?
Yeah, after right now, cut and then to the equation. Because I'm not going to say them. It's kind of hard to explain the equations.
Wait, you gotta put like P plus Q equals 1.
Yeah, you
2PQ. No, P.
This is done using allele frequencies, or the total number of a certain allele divided by all the alleles in a population. Mind you, this only works if a simple dominant recessive system. If the predicted allele frequencies do not match the actual frequencies, then the population is evolving. This can be done using the Hardy-Weinberg equations I showed you earlier. When a population is not evolving, then it's said to be in a Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. And to do so, it would have to meet the following 5 requirements. There have to be no mutations, no random mating, no natural selection, no gene flow, and a large population. So a population like this can be genetically represented on a graph in 3 ways. You can have stabilizing selection, which will push the population towards the mean or the average, directional, which will shift the population's alleles towards an extreme end, and destabilizing, which will push the population towards the two opposite extremes with none in the middle. Here ends our evolution unit for Study Guide Biology. On this last episode, you learned about the genes of an evolving population, natural selection, reproductive isolation, coevolution, and the Hardy-Weinberg equations. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time in ecology.